All right. Well, I'm Silent Storm, or Aiden, and right here with me is
Pirate Girl.
Yep. And so we watched a movie called The Deep House, and it
We're
was
gonna
a 20
pick it apart.
yeah, pick it apart, and because we thought it was a great movie. It had some good moments, but it could have ended better, and it's pretty fucking obvious. But spoilers ahead, so you know. But it was a 2021 film actually, so it came out pretty recently.
Oh, and it was also backed by Blumhouse, which
Yeah,
we love. Blumhouse, I mean, they're freaking awesome, so we have really high hopes too for the film. Which, yeah, it was good, but the ending just kind of went monkey bonkers bananas, and we do what we normally do and
overanalyze,
and then play professional film cinema people and say what would have been better, like how what would have made that ending really
armchair directors over here. But yeah, it was a good film, and Blumhouse did a great job, especially because Blumhouse is killer with their special effects team, and they did a pretty good job with it wasn't a long film at all. I think it was under
it was like an hour and 25 minutes or something.
It was a short film.
But for people like myself who have like an unnatural fear of drowning, even though I've never even had a traumatic experience in water, I did like the premise of it being completely underwater. I felt very claustrophobic, and that was classic Blumhouse, like just added to the tension. Directed by Alexander Bustiello, which I thought he did a really great job.
Yeah, he did a great job. The direction of it was really well done. I think they did
some of the shots were really
good.
Yeah.
Lots of good. They did a great job with continuity of keeping everything pacing wise kind of goes crazy near the end, but continuity wise there's no like 1 second they have like a yellow diving tank and then the next scene they have like a green diving tank. Everything's the same. That's a random example, but like they did a great job with that. The house looks amazing. Like, of course, like we thought at first that they were maybe filming in like a pool or something, but it almost seems like they did such a good job. Like I don't know how they actually shot it.
I guess we should have looked that up.
Oh, probably, but
exactly how they filmed it, because even some of the scenes in the home, and it's to add to the hauntedness, I guess, of the film. But there's things that float that shouldn't float, and there's things that don't float that should be floating.
Yeah, there's a whole dining room table that's not
floating.
Not
disturbed. It's just sitting there.
It's just sitting there, like it was nailed down. But then there's out of nowhere like there's a piano that's slightly floating in one scene.
I guess we should just like dive right into it.
Yeah,
that's a bad joke. Okay, so basically, spoilers definitely. So Ben and Tina are two young people engaged from New York. Always from New York.
Yeah, always.
Except I think Ben was from the UK. I think that's part of the story.
Yeah, he has an accent.
And they are YouTube adventurers.
yeah.
Busting into places and videotaping it for, of course, that 1 million likes or views. This is where I thought they spent way too much time on this. I felt like, especially since I felt like the ending was rushed, that instead of showing us 20 minutes of them breaking into
25
old insane asylum that had nothing to do with really the storyline of the whole film, they could have done that in the montage of the opening, like just showing their sporadic little adventures. But yeah, they spent 20 minutes in an asylum where nothing happened.
That does show, though, that Ben is a prankster, but not in the fun way. He's just a dick about it, and like is constantly messing with Tina.
A pretty big douchebag.
And I thought that was gonna have a lot more weight to it in the film, because like those are moments where you're thinking, you're going, now Tina's like trying to figure out, is this him fucking with me? Am I just going crazy? Am I afraid? And of course it turns out to be real, but it never really gets brought up. Like halfway through, he just kind of also starts getting scared and goes, never brings it up again.
Plus, he also has that weird monotone effect, like the whole
Yeah,
film,
yeah.
and then it goes kind of creepy later, but like it's just one, like he's doing a deep dive expedition for discovery or something, and it's kind of weird. But anyway, they decide, hey, the videos are doing kind of good. Let's take our break from our jobs. Let's quit everything and jump and do something really cool and interesting. And somehow Ben finds out about this theory that's going around France that there is a underwater suburban neighborhood.
Before that, he figured that out. But before that, he told Tina, this is an untapped mine. Like, it's wonderful. There's nobody going to be there in this French village. And Tina can speak French. And
yes, French-American.
Yes.
American-French, I guess.
And it's hilarious to me that he didn't do any scouting beforehand. So they get there, get to the town. They make this whole, like, wonderful, almost, if you've ever seen, what's the Stephen King? It's escaping my mind right now. The Stephen King book with the vampires in the town.
Oh, Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot. It reminds me a lot of Salem's Lot. That's what I thought they were going for, because there's nobody on the streets. So I kept thinking, all right, something's off with the town. And because no one's outside, all the windows are closed. He sees one man.
I thought the same thing. Like, at first I thought, is the town aware of what's going on under the water? So we don't want to draw attention to ourselves. Don't let people come to the city because we don't want them to fall into this lake and get killed.
Almost like similar to like a Call of Cthulhu not Call of Cthulhu, sorry, Shadow over Innsmouth kind of scenario where it's like the townspeople don't like outsiders because they cause trouble, and
that negative energy.
Yeah, no, that didn't. Then they show up to the.
Yeah, the empty town had absolutely nothing to do.
Yeah, well, they show up to.
Wait, the town was empty.
Yeah, because they're all at the lake.
Everybody was at the spot, the isolated, unknown spot at the lake, having a holiday.
Which also just happens to have the most important character of the film, Pierre, just sitting at a park bench.
Oh no, he meets him outside of on a bench, but outside of a wine and French fry stand.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of interesting.
And they just happen to find him and start talking to him, and Ben just comes back to Tina and goes, I met this cool dude who told me...
Who's gonna take us
he's gonna
to
take
the one isolated spot that holds the real... Only one house left, because Pierre goes on to tell them that, that legend's not really true. They kind of demoed the whole neighborhood and the whole town before they filled in the lake, except for this one house. One house just stayed there because... Why? Well, that's never explained.
Yeah, it's just underwater. And
then, so they drive with Pierre for 45 minutes. And, of course, this scene takes about 15, 20 minutes of unnecessary driving and talking, bantering back and forth.
Well, real quick, there was some good parts of as they're driving, because Tina speaks French and Ben does not, her and Pierre get to kind of go back and forth a bit. And he seems a little bit interested in her life, and he says a few creepy lines. Nothing too bad, but it should raise a couple flags in Tina's head. And then she just lies to Ben, because Ben's an asshole, so she doesn't want him to be,
Actually, Pierre lies first. Remember?
Yes, Pierre does lie first.
Deep conversation, and Ben asks what they're talking about, and Pierre goes, I'm just saying that we have to make it here before this time or whatever. And even Tina's like, wait, what? Because that's not like, we had to go by foot.
Yeah,
we had to go the last 2 miles by foot.
Carrying the last
all of your
2 miles.
Beautiful dive equipment.
Plus Ben has a huge underwater drone, which probably weighs a ton.
Okay, so we got to address this really quick.
Yeah.
So these are these 2 young people, right? And I fully appreciate that YouTubers now really have to up the ante, and they have to have the highest tech to get like the best shots. But they pulled a 36 meters down because they had these high-tech underwater scuba mask, that not only LED light up, but they can talk to each other. And not only that, it has Bluetooth enabled, so they can record, they can play music, they can control the drone. All of this from like one little handheld thing. And Pierre's looking at all this as they're getting it ready, like, what's that? Like, he has no idea what half the stuff is. And Ben's like, it's our stuff. We're going to videotape everything down there.
It also reminds me, by the way, I don't know where the fuck Ben got this shit, but it looks like something you'd see out of, like any sci-fi video game where somebody has, like...
a little arm pad.
Yeah, something on their arm to, like, be like...
Like a Stormship Troopers type, like...
Yeah, they're just clicking down on it, and... They're you could make money off of making a bet of how many times he says shit or fuck when he can't get the drone to work.
Yeah, the drone never works right. Not from the single time they drop it in, it starts shorting out.
For whatever reason, Ben decided to be a great idea to have the drone not only have white light, but also a terrifying red LED spotlight. So, spooking people in the house.
Although that did create a good effect.
It was a great atmosphere,
later, because then wait a minute, something else is taking something's going wrong. But they just jump in. They just jump into this lake, which was beautiful, by the way.
Oh, we do have to mention Tina has the beginning of the film, Tina is submerging herself in her bathtub to try and train.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's never been diving before, Ben has been diving before. He's, we'll say, experienced, and Tina is completely new. She's supposed to be holding her breath for, what did he say? 3 minutes.
Because 3 minutes will allow you to safely get to the surface for how deep they were going.
And I believe she could only hold it for a minute and a half.
But lies to him and tells him she's got the 3 minute down.
Which technically never really... I mean, it does come up,
yeah,
but...
it does, but...
It's interesting.
So yeah, they jump in. They start going. Ben's being obnoxious, the whole time, and they come across this car, and again, this was supposed to have all happened in, the 80s, so that was kind of another cool shot, jaunt for me to, nostalgia-wise, 80s. But anyway, they come across the car. Now, the car has been there since the 80s. There's absolutely no rust on the car. It's in perfect condition. Tina makes mention of this. Ben dismisses her, saying, well, it's not salt water. So, as the audience, we just go along with them at this point. Then they find a mausoleum, which, of course, Ben wants to go in and get the video, and Tina's like, no way. So then they go to the house, and they are unable to enter the house because not only is the house completely sealed, the door has been welded shut and has this massive padlock on it.
And most of the windows are they have either metal on the outside or boards or debris, and there's even brick, where someone took brick and mortar and actually sealed it. But everything is sealed from the outside.
Yeah, so why would you seal a house, obviously, from the outside? So it just doesn't make any sense. But however, they find a way. They had talked about going in through the chimney, but then they didn't have to because Ben found a window that just opened right up into the attic. And of course, the attic's filled with all kinds of creepy little things.
Oh, don't forget the fish jump scare.
Oh, yeah, there's a fish jump scare, which is actually not too bad. And then that fish comes back later, so. But, so they've got all this creepy stuff. And again, like we said earlier, everything in the house is 100% preserved.
Even there's paintings, wallpaper,
there's
all that.
Polaroid pictures of missing children all over the walls. Those are perfect. There's oddities. The whole house is, missing of religion stuff and items, but then there is one religious item in the kitchen,
which is a massive crucifix.
It's bigger than any crucifix in any church my parents would drag me to as a kid.
If I'm remembering correctly, it is the size of Tina.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's this huge, just
painted perfectly.
Yeah, and it's on a door facing away, almost as like a warning, and
of course Ben says, let's pry this off.
Yeah, which he just rips off the wall and throws to the ground.
And then realizes, whoa, there's a hidden door back here. So they're pulling at the door, and they finally get it open, and that fish jump scares again, and they follow it down there, and so it's just a random 80s basement. There's nothing really spectacular. I mean, the only really creepy stuff they found so far is the kids' room upstairs had 8mm film and video cameras all over the place.
We
Polaroid
we do have to mention there was a family portrait
a painting
that looked way older than the 80s. It was almost, I'm not going to say Victorian, but it was old. It looked like they were,
and they were all holding what looked like rifles, shotguns.
Yeah,
it was a very interesting kind of. I kind of want to have a painting of you and I done.
And like that. Yeah, that'd be great. But they almost look not ageless, but kind of that they're
timeless.
The timeless look.
Yeah,
and because they're all wearing old clothes.
I'm just gonna blurt it out. Yeah. At this point in the film, I'm thinking vampires because I'm thinking the house is completely preserved. They only have one tiny mausoleum that obviously doesn't even hold a body. And okay, you've got Pierre sending people down, obviously for some reason. So my brain's going, oh, he has a vampire family and he's sending people down there to be fed on.
I didn't think about the family aspect, but I definitely kept thinking, I was like, this is either like cult or vampire, and I was leaning towards, I was like, underwater vampire might be pretty cool, so maybe underwater vampire, that sounds pretty neat. And then they get down to the basement, and surprise, surprise, big reveal in basement, 2 bodies chained to this rack almost of like meat hooks and chains, and it's a really, Blumhouse knocked it out of the park for like,
those underwater actors, and then the special effects, probably physical dummies, were great.
The weird thing is the 2 bodies have perfectly preserved, and they have these masks on, and at first
medieval like torture mask.
Medieval torture mask, and I think one of them, I think Ben does say it looks like a torture mask, and funnily enough, neither of them question Pierre. They just
not yet. No, not at all. No one brings him up. Not Tina. Not nobody. Like, oh, what did he? I think the only thing she said was, "Man, he creeped me out." Like at the beginning when they jumped in. But at this point, wouldn't you be like, "Wow, why the hell did Pierre send us down here? Or does he not know? He must not know." You know.
And they start, because the bodies are so fresh. They're like, "Oh my god, we need to go tell somebody."
Well, Tina wants to go tell somebody, and Ben's like, "But wait."
Ben's sitting there with the camera, going, "I just want a couple more shots of these dead people."
Gotta get a million
like fucking, what was it, Logan Paul? Like, he's sitting there, whoa, and they're like, and Tina's freaking out, of course, because she's now seen 2 dead bodies, and this isn't just like, someone
plus the
drowned.
pics of all the missing kids.
That's true,
really
yes.
Creepy. So they really don't know, like, what the heck
again,
is going on.
why would, that gave the question of us going, like, we're sitting there watching this movie going, hey, all these missing kids, maybe if the family's vampires, they were abducting the kids.
Yeah, and then somehow getting them down there.
And then maybe the town
found out.
Welded them in, ricked it up,
and then
everything.
filled it up with water. Yeah, I mean, that's where my brain was going too. But at this point, and they make it, obviously those bodies are the mother and father of that family, obviously. However, because they have the mask on, Tina and Ben do not put this together. They think, these are 2 fresh victims somehow put down here. And so then Ben, for some reason, decides he's going to take the mask off of the male victim. And when he does, bada boom, it's revealed. Yeah, that's the mom and dad. That's the parents from the old painting. What are they doing down here? And then there's a really great scene where the female dive actress is chained and her eyes open, which is just a really cool. I mean, the whole imagery of that and the shots were really cool. They did a great job with the shadowing, too, of the shots, and enough light and not enough when needed.
She is having a very aggressive, this chains are tearing at her. It's almost like they have a mind of their own. And you kind of...
Tina?
Yeah, when Tina's chained up.
Tina gets wrapped up in the chains and is having a moment. The LED red light from
it's
the
just
drone
going
is
crazy.
Going crazy like a strobe light. And she's screaming for Ben. He can't be found. And then all of a sudden, you hear Ben go, "What are you doing?"
And she has cut herself on the chain, but she was seeing the bodies swimming around and alive, and these chains almost sentient, like ripping at her. Really cool scene. And we kept thinking, we like this. This is like underwater vampire, maybe just underwater like ghoul, maybe. I don't know what this is, but I'm hooked. This is good.
I'm still thinking vampires at this moment, because I'm still thinking, okay, well, they chained them, so obviously they can't get out of here, so that's what they're still doing in here. At that point, they're going around the house trying to get out. And of course, the window that was magically open for them is now unopened, and then when they get it open, it's a brick wall.
Brick wall. Completely mortared and everything. So now
there's no way out of the house, and they're down to like 50% air, and they're trying to figure out, what the hell are we going to do? And the bodies have now disappeared.
Yes.
Both. They're gone out of the chains. So now you've got 2 bodies mysteriously kind of roaming around this house. They realize that they are part of the Pontomac family who owned the house. And Ben also comes across a family tree of the family featuring
I don't
Pierre.
Remember. Oh yeah, it had Pierre. That was
Pierre was the son in that. And they also do a nice little montage flashback of
him escaping.
Exactly what you had thought. That in the town, children were going missing. The town didn't know what happened. When it got to like 30 kids missing, which I don't even know how that's possible in the 80s, that 30 kids went missing from one French town. But yeah, so 30 kids go missing.
They're running off. It's fine.
And they play this little creepy 8mm film of Pierre and his father not only killing the children, but like dissecting them and like taking their organs out and like doing some kind of satanic ritual. Well, it's at that point I became a little disappointed because honestly, it didn't make sense. If all of this was just because it was a satanic ritual, why would Pierre even send them down there?
So, you caught on faster than I did that it wasn't, because I was still seeing the dissections. I was still thinking maybe still vampires because they could be like
drinking the stuff.
Well, they could be like draining the blood from the bodies to save for later.
True, but they didn't show that at all.
They did not, but children are hopefully virgins, and vampires, the whole deal with virgin blood and all that.
True.
Usually women, but
they
still
implied that they were taking the organs and using them as a satanic a ritual.
There is a we forgot to mention, when they find the two bodies chained, Ben looks down and goes, "Oh, look, a pentagram," and then just looks back up and goes, "Okay," and just like doesn't even question it. He just says it's there, and that's it.
So they're only, they're making the inkling. Oh, and also there were some weird pentagram-looking things in that that weird kids' room. But, so they go throughout. It's really chaotic. There's like a good 30 minutes of the films where it's just chaos. People are, they're diving. They try to get out through the chimney. They, get separated. Okay. And still this whole time, I'm enjoying the film, I like it, but I'm still thinking to myself, wouldn't it have been better and made more sense if the family had been vampires and then Pierre somehow, you find out in the montage that when the townspeople did realize what was going on, they storm the house, they kill his sister, Pierre's sister, and then the mother and father, in a fit of rage, they torture them, chain them into the basement. Pierre somehow escapes. He runs and leaves the family. So he gets out. And the idea was that, they take the family, seal them in the house, and then flood the quarry, the land that they live in. So the house is completely now submerged, and they'll never, ever get out and hurt anybody. But just for a moment, if they had been vampires, Pierre would have known that they needed blood, they needed, life force, and would send people down, and that, but if they were just a satanic group or a ritualistic killing group, what was Pierre's motive for sending them down there?
Yeah, and
because the family's never getting out.
Like, and it's kind of, I guess, because there is a moment where Ben gets possessed.
Oh,
we think
because he starts talking. Really
he starts
odd.
talking really odd, and you kind of at first just go, oh, he's just a fucking weirdo, so he's just talking weird. But then he starts going, we have to join them, and it's like...
It actually said on IMDb that he was actually possessed by Sarah, Pierre's sister. Remember the sister that was videoing their rituals?
But that was never hinted at.
Again, this is another thing that I felt when they got to the end of the film. It was just like rush to finish, and they kind of maybe had to edit out or take that component out. If they just saved time in the beginning with the, they could have maybe explained a little more.
But again, this is an hour and 25-minute film. It's not a 2-hour runtime.
True.
Which is kind of odd to me that it's like they could have maybe they just didn't have it. I mean, I'm sure shooting was expensive.
Oh, absolutely.
And they maybe thought, okay, we have to just cut it here and hope that,
overall solid film.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a fun watch. It's a fun
watch.
Sunday family watch. Again, I liked it. I love our family.
Yeah.
Blumhouse, great job. The director, cinematographer, fantastic. The actor and actresses, great job. It was a decent, solid film. However, for this one, I do just vote that the ending could have been saved or even better if it had been vampires.
I think it could have also been... They really should have pushed the idea of maybe don't have them walk up to Pierre, maybe have Pierre approach them. Oh,
yeah, that would have made more sense.
And be like, talking, or even maybe have... I would have liked to have the town knowing that they fucked up, they killed this family, and now the family is... not dead, they're under the water, they are aggressive, maybe they're still taking kids. More missing posters could have been put up.
That would have been good,
and then
too.
maybe they make a deal with Pierre because Pierre escapes. They could say,
people
"Hey,
down there.
we'll try and get people to the village. Any new people that go missing, maybe have like a police officer try and tell them to get out and leave the town." And they're like, "Why should we leave?" And then he's just like, he can't explain.
And I guess we should just quickly go over the end. But
yeah,
so the end, Ben is possessed by Sarah, the daughter of the family. She gets him and Sarah, or what's her name? Kim? The girlfriend.
Hang on. Tina.
They get Ben. So the spirit of this girl is in Ben and gets Ben and Tina to the secret room where another thing is revealed, which is never really explained or makes sense. It's a personal theater. It's like a little mini theater in the middle of the house. No windows, no nothing, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then the lights come on and a video comes on, and it almost implies or makes it look like maybe rich people went down there to sit to watch these
which was...
dissections of children, which you're just kind of sitting there going, why would they have this expensive theater in the middle of this old French house? Oh, maybe so rich guys could come, and then why would they? It was just a little chaotic, but Tina fights, she gets through somehow and actually gets free of the house. But now she is out of air. The air is gone. And she starts massively swimming to the top, which we know if she makes it, she could make it. She'd be sick, of course.
Yes, barrel trauma.
But
which I can't remember if at that depths it would be dangerous or not.
Yes, because remember,
I think it would, because you can get...
he addressed in the film that they were going to have to stop at pivotal points to decompress. So we know that they weren't like miles down, but they were enough down to where they were going to have to do that. So she would have been sick, but she would have lived. However, because she did not get to her 3-minute marker, she gets all the way to about 2 feet from the top.
Yeah,
and boom, drowns and dies. But oddly does not sink, just floats there.
Yep, just floats.
Doesn't come to the top, doesn't go down. Like everything else in the lake, doesn't make any logical sense.
With the gear on, maybe... Or at this point, did she take off?
Yes.
Or... Oh, yeah, I
forgot. She took everything off so that she could, rocket to the top.
Her body would have most likely floated.
But it was a good little subtle nod to that the lake does weird things, anomalies, where things float when they shouldn't float and go down when they shouldn't, and be stable when they shouldn't. So,
I mean, if they did want to go with the occult route, I think it may have been better to even have, maybe, this is just an offshoot, let's say... everything happens the way it happened, but then they come back up and Pierre is happy, smiling, and then just embraces one of them. And
Tina, if Tina had made it to the top, he could have been
No. Tina drowns, and then you get a hard cut. Tina comes out of the water with Ben, and they embrace Pierre as a family.
Oh, like the body swap situation.
Yeah, like that's why he's been trying to send people down.
Oh my god!
So that
would have been so much better.
I think that would think about what was it, Willy's Wonderland, where they did the whole occult transferring themselves into the animatronics,
or the skeleton key, like when they swap bodies. Now, see, to me, that would have made perfect sense because the children were abducted for voodoo sacrifices of some kind, and with it being a French film, that wouldn't have been that far, right? From voodoo to French. I don't know. But
I don't know much about French history.
I don't either. But that would have made so much more sense. Like, Pierre's been sending people down there for freaking years because he's older. Pierre's an older man now. He's like in his 50s. And, so it would make sense that he's been trying to get people down there forever to release the family so they could do the body swap. And then, they come out of the water, and it's now mom and dad, and then they're able to do body swap for him, and then maybe get the sister. Yeah, that would have been a good one, too. That would have been even better than Vampires.
It could have been even better if maybe the sister had already been body swapped. She's with Pierre, but she's like,
and they're
oddly,
like, we need 2 more people.
But she's like oddly younger than him, maybe, and they're like, how is that your sister? And he's just like, don't question it, because
he's like that. Yeah. One thing I do before we end, it was pretty cool. Tina is kind of a really new age lady, Her mom teaches at a university, speaks French, taught her French. On her scuba tank, she has a large sticker of the peace symbol. And Pierre does a really cool, the actor did such a great job, a really cool but eerie little comment about that he likes the sticker. And she's thinking, and then Ben proceeds to tell her what that symbol actually is. It was actually a symbol for religious violence or something, the death of
good and evil.
Yeah, which I never knew. And he makes a comment about the hippies chose it.
Just
not knowing it's very dark religious undertone, And at the time you're watching that part, you're not even thinking about what's going on in the house yet. So, but then later it kind of makes a cool circle back.
Pierre also tells Tina that never gets brought up again. The family's creed of like I'm not even gonna say it because it doesn't matter. It never gets brought. He tells
that lies eternal never dies.
Which that's what we kept thinking. Oh, vampires eternal,
exactly.
Or some sort of like, okay, you could still do the occult with that, but when I hear eternal, I think of if you like, one of our favorite movies of all time. Is it What We Do in the Shadows?
I fucking love What We Do.
What We Do in the Shadows has like, if you've ever watched that film, there's a vampire named Peter who is
8,000
years old.
I love Peter,
and he is the worst looking out of all of them.
But I'd like to live like Peter. Like,
it was
in the basement. Nobody bothers you.
Have a rib cage on the floor.
You can just throw me a chicken like every.
Yeah, I love. But if you watch that movie, like he is a almost like
Nosferatu.
If you've ever played Vampire the Masquerade, you'll know this from he looks like a Nosferatu vampire in this, like the sewer vampires where they're all like monstrous and a Dracula kind of look, like the original Dracula.
But how cool would that have been to have a Peter like character in the house? So they dive down. They see the Nosferatu looking. He suckles them and swaps places with them or whatever like that.
Yeah.
That the body swap situation would have been a great opportunity too. So I don't know.
But again, this is just us shooting random ideas out, and directing a film is fucking hard. But
man.
It takes,
especially an underwater film.
Yeah,
like we do truly appreciate what it took to even film this film. To do, because at the end I watched the credits like a psycho, and they had stunt divers not only for Ben and Tina, but they had stunt divers for the underwater actor and actress. They had, to, even if they filmed in a pool, which again we should go back and research, but to have all of these items not float and then some float, and I mean it had to have been a massive undertaking that maybe the writing team just was like, we're gonna skip on this and this. Maybe there's not enough time to explain all of that. Let's just make it known that this was some kind of weird cult thing going on.
And maybe, just maybe, they might be trying to do maybe a second one or...
No, I doubt it.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But
to stay hopeful.
If they'd have done your body swapping, they could have done a second one where they were trying to get Sarah out of the house. So,
that would have been...
because like with a lot of these found footage films that I'm a huge sucker for, somebody could have found the found footage, like in was the film, the Asylum one, the Graveyard, or
Grave Encounters.
Grave Encounters. Like they could have had someone contact a YouTuber and go, "We found Ben and Tina's unknown footage. You want to jump in this lake? Yeah, sure. Fuck yeah, we're gonna jump in the lake." And then they jump in the lake and get body swapped with Sarah. But that's just our opinions.
Yeah, and it's again overall great movie.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie. It was a fun watch, and
this is just one of these weird things that we do.
Yeah,
and we thought we would just record it and throw it out there for people to listen to.
I mean, yeah, and in high school I did
and anyone can say what they want. We're not going to read comments anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Because we just don't.
But in I took a media studies class in high school, which is, if you ever want to watch a movie and enjoy it, don't ever take a media studies class, because you're going to sit there.
Why?
Well, because now I look at every movie and I go...
But you also get that from me, because I never took a media study class, and I do that anyway.
Oh, I know, but I look at every shot now.
We used to get in trouble in our old situation, which I won't go on to now, for watching a film and talking during the film. But our brains process film the same way. So we're like, oh my God, how'd they get that shot? That transition was amazing. The musical score to that was just phenomenal. And I think it's just that we appreciate how much goes into making a film. This was just a funny way for us to talk about it, because we've always wanted to record and podcast or YouTube somehow about film. And then we had watched a couple films in a row one weekend, and we thought, oh my God, and we kept talking about how the endings would have been better.
Oh, yeah, and it's funny because we're sitting there going, this would have been so much better if this would have happened. And then there are some movies where other people go, God, I didn't like the ending that movie, and we're over in the corner going, perfect, beautiful, wunderbar, like just sitting there like it's an amazing film.
And not that we don't think it's an amazing film, but we have our own little tidbit twist that we would like to have seen from the film to have been really like, wow, that was freaking amazing.
And if you want to watch another underwater horror movie, I think it's literally just called Underwater, right?
Oh, Underwater, yeah. We will do one on the Underwater, although I will not change anything about Underwater.
No, Underwater was amazing. It was great.
It is my go-to safe film that I absolutely love. And it's one of the few films I love that Kristen Stewart is in. And I just think it was a very great mix. I guess we shouldn't keep going off topic.
Yeah, but still, it's if you want to watch another movie and you haven't seen it, Underwater is amazing, and it's
perfect ending.
Yeah, perfect ending for what it is.
Very Cthulhu-like,
very amazing, amazing. Just like this film, different levels, of course, because I'm sure they had a bigger budget for Underwater. But,
absolutely.
Like this film has amazing underwater scenes.
It really does,
and so does Underwater.
There's even some weird transitional shots before they get to the house that's of the wildlife in the lake, and I thought, wow, somebody had to have filmed all that. Yeah. Somebody went down there and filmed it, and it was beautiful and eerie, and for me, claustrophobic and. But yeah, I like this film. All right, well, we will be probably back with another one because we just like to hear ourselves talk anyway.
Yeah, talking's fun. Anyway, see ya, fuckers.
See ya.